Hey everybody, I'm back. It has been a nice vacation, and I'm excited to get back to this because I think that.
Fake!
Hello? God?
Fake! You have a plague on your channel you must remove.
I do, and what's that?
Your daily schedule. You must remove the plague that is killing you.
Actually, I already did that. I stopped uploading daily a while back.
Oh, cool. Well, then, can you talk about Binding of Isaac?
Sure thing, sure, yeah.
Did you know I'm in this game?
I did know that you were in the game, yes. Very cool. Let's talk about Binding of Isaac.
Isaac and his mother lived alone in a small house on a hill. Isaac kept to himself, drawing pictures and playing with his toys as his mom watched Christian broadcasts on the television. Life was simple.
Let's start with the story of Binding of Isaac, which is equal parts disturbing and fascinating. Its roots lie in the biblical story of the sacrifice of Isaac, where God asked Abraham to sacrifice his only son as a test of faith. The scripture reads, "Then Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, 'Abraham, Abraham.' And he said, 'Here I am.' He said, 'Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me.'" So God's kind of like, "Psych, just kidding. Don't do that. Don't kill your son. I was just kidding, dude." Oh my me. In this ancient tale, Abraham's faith is rewarded when God spares Isaac at the last minute. However, in The Binding of Isaac, it takes this premise and distorts it into a dark, surreal nightmare. Isaac's mother hears a voice from God, instructing her to sacrifice her son. But rather than any divine intervention to stop it, Isaac has to take matters into his own hands. In a panic, Isaac will flee to the basement of their home, a grotesque, monster-filled labyrinth. And this isn't your standard creepy dungeon. This game draws heavily on religious symbolism, body horror, and Isaac's childlike fears. You'll encounter everything from monstrous versions of his family members to enemies made out of literal poop. The dungeon itself seems like a reflection of Isaac's mind, a twisted, claustrophobic place filled with guilt, punishment, and suffering. But I feel like I need to talk about the poop thing for a second. For some odd reason, there is so much poop in this game. It's littering the dungeons. A lot of the monsters are made of poop. I don't know why there's so much poop in this game, but there's so much poop. And this probably isn't the last time I'll say poop in this video. That's such a funny word, poop. But the story isn't told in a traditional sense. There's very little dialogue or cutscenes. Instead, the game relies on its grotesque imagery, cryptic endings, and symbolic items to tell the story. It's a game that's open to interpretation, where the real horror isn't necessarily the monsters you fight, but the deeper themes of parental abuse, religious zealotry, and childhood trauma that underpin the entire experience. At the end of the day, the narrative of The Binding of Isaac is as much about confronting Isaac's inner demons as it is about facing physical ones. If you played any roguelike, you know that gameplay is king, and The Binding of Isaac delivers in spades. The core gameplay loop is simple, yet endlessly compelling. You explore procedurally generated dungeons, room by room, defeating enemies, collecting power-ups, and trying to survive for as long as possible. But let's break that down a little more. Isaac starts each run as a fragile, crying boy with a single-shot attack, his tears. These tears act as your main weapon throughout the game, but as you progress, the game throws a plethora of items and power-ups your way that drastically change how Isaac plays. These items aren't just passive stat boosts either, they can fundamentally alter your character's abilities, and that's where The Binding of Isaac really shines. These power-ups are transformative, offering you entirely new ways to approach combat and exploration. And then the synergies, combinations of items that interact in unexpected ways. You might get an item that turns your tears into bombs, and then another item that may make those bombs home in on enemies. The sheer variety of these combinations ensures that no two runs ever feel exactly the same. The game isn't without its challenges. There are plenty of power downs to worry about as well. These can come in the form of items that reduce your speed, lower your health, or add unwanted effects to your attacks. Managing these risks while trying to build a powerful run adds another layer of strategy to the game. You're always on your toes, balancing risk and reward, hoping that the next item you pick up will push your run to the next level. I think that was the most difficult part for me in this game early on, was learning what everything did, and the amount of times that I just ruined myself by picking up items, using them, and immediately going, I shouldn't have done that. things that would spit my bullets into like different directions, and I'd have to wait for it to finish because it would ruin my ability to actually hit enemies, or losing stat boosts, things like that, that just, it would make it frustrating. But as you go and you learn, you start to realize like, oh, this is what I need. Don't use this. Get rid of this. This is really good. And you'll just figure out what you really need to use. And it makes it for a very interesting and variety-filled run every time you do it. The dungeon layouts are procedurally generated, so each new run presents you with a different room, configurations, enemy placements, and secrets to discover. Some rooms are packed with monsters that overwhelm you with numbers, while others contain tricky environmental hazards like spikes or flame traps. There's always something new to figure out, and the sense of discovery is constant throughout the game. And let's not forget the bosses. The Binding of Isaac has some of the most grotesque, challenging, and creative boss fights in the genre. Each boss has its own unique attack patterns and quirks. Some like Gemini are relentless in their pursuit of Isaac, while others like Gertie are static but endlessly spawn minions to overwhelm you. And then there's the final boss, Mom. She's a brutal and chaotic fight where giant hands, eyes, and feet slam down on you from all directions. Every boss feels like a test of everything you've learned up to that point, and the sense of satisfaction from beating them is immense. I really like the boss fights in this game, but yes, some of them can be very, very difficult, especially the Mom fight where she's doing a ton of damage and the foot comes out of nowhere. And if it weren't for the good, holy word of the Lord, I would not have been able to beat Mom for the first time. It took me several runs to get to this point. Then once I did, I was so close to dying, but I popped that Bible and bam, she was gone, and it just felt so good. And that's when I learned there's a bunch of different endings and stuff, and there's so much more to this game that I haven't done. It's crazy. Surviving in the Binding of Isaac requires more than just good reflexes. It demands adaptability, decision-making, and a willingness to embrace the chaos. Each run is a delicate balancing act between taking risks and playing it safe. Do you enter a cursed room in the hopes of finding a game-changing item, knowing full well that you could lose precious health in the process? Do you take that strange unknown item even though it might completely change how your tears work and potentially ruin your run? These are the kind of decisions that define the Isaac experience. Every run's different, and that's what makes survival so engaging. You can never get too comfortable or rely on one strategy. What worked in one run might not work in the next. That unpredictability forces you to think on your feet, react quickly, and constantly adjust your approach. Some runs are blessed with powerful item synergies that make you feel invincible, while others are cursed with bad luck, forcing you to scrape by with minimal health and weak items. It's that high-stake tension that keeps players coming back for more. The survivability in this game is crazy. The amount of times I might feel very powerful only to run into a room full of enemies that all take different strategies and would just melt my health, or like I was feeling very weak but I could progress really well, or some runs where I was just like, this is over from the get-go. It just, like, you can tell. The more you play, the more you're like, this isn't going to work. This strategy's not going to work. This build's not going to work. The items that I've been given are not going to do it for me. I'm not going to make it. If you're on the second or third floor and you're still shooting a single pellet, you're probably screwed. So the point of this video is to ask the question, is Binding of Isaac the best roguelike? So let's compare it to some other roguelikes to see if that's the case. But this is no easy task, because each one brings something unique to the table. Games like Hades, Dead Cells, and Enter the Gungeon are all standouts in the genre, each offering their own twist on the formula. So how does Isaac stack up? Let's start with Hades, a game I've played a lot of. One of the things Hades excels at is storytelling. It weaves a compelling narrative that unfolds over multiple runs, with characters you grow attached to and relationships that develop over time. The Binding of Isaac, on the other hand, takes a more abstract approach to storytelling. Instead of dialogue and cutscenes, Isaac tells its story through its environments, its enemies, and its items. The symbolism is dense, and the themes are dark. While Hades gives you clear and satisfying progression, Isaac lets you dig deep into its mysteries at your own pace, rewarding players who are willing to engage with its darker undertones. Then there's Enter the Gungeon. If you're a fan of fast-paced, twitchy, bullet hell gameplay, Gungeon is probably one of your favorites. I've played a little bit of it, wasn't my favorite, but it's tight, responsive, and chaotic. But while Gungeon focuses heavily on gunplay and dodging, Isaac excels in its versatility. The sheer number of items and power-ups in Isaac allow for a much wider range of playstyles. Want to shoot lasers from your eyes? You can do that. Want to summon a horde of spiders to fight for you? That's also possible. The depth and variety of Isaac's item pool give it a level of replayability that's hard to match. And then there's Dead Cells, which is known for its slick, fluid combat and polished presentation. The movement in Dead Cells is buttery smooth and every hit feels satisfying. But where Dead Cells shines in execution, Isaac thrives in chaos. The unpredictable nature of each run, the bizarre item combinations, and the grotesque aesthetic gives Isaac a raw, chaotic energy that few games can replicate. It's less polished, sure, but that's part of its charm. Each of these games brings something special to the table, but The Binding of Isaac stands out because of its depth, variety, and unpredictability. Hey, God, are we almost done here? Are you having fun?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. I was just checking. I'm almost done. We're going to talk about whether it's better than the others or not, okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. Then I can be done?
I guess so.
Okay, great. Thank you. So after comparing The Binding of Isaac to its peers, can we definitively say it's the best roguelike? It's a tough question to answer. Each game offers something different, and what you value most in a roguelike might influence your answer. For me, for example, Vampire Survivors is my favorite roguelike. It always has been, probably always will be, but after playing Binding of Isaac, that might change a little bit. If you're looking for a tightly woven narrative, Hades might win out. If you want fast-paced action, Gungeon might be more your speed. And if you prefer polished, fluid combat, Dead Cells might be your pick. But where Isaac excels in its depth, few games offer the sheer amount of content and replayability that Isaac does. With hundreds of items, dozens of characters, multiple endings, and a near infinite number of possible synergies, the game feels almost limitless. No matter how many times you play, there's always something new to discover. Additionally, The Binding of Isaac offers a unique mix of horror, humor, and dark themes that set it apart from other roguelikes. The grotesque imagery, the religious symbolism, and the disturbing enemies all create an atmosphere that's deeply unsettling, yet strangely captivating. It's a game that gets under your skin in a way that few others do. So is The Binding of Isaac the best roguelike? For me, it's certainly up there. I think Vampire Survivors still might be my favorite, but it's a game that manages to combine deep, complex gameplay with an eerie, unforgettable atmosphere. It challenges you, surprises you, and keeps you coming back for more, no matter how many times you think you've seen it all. While other roguelikes may have more polished graphics, tighter storylines, or smoother combat, Isaac's depth and unpredictability make it a true standout in the genre. There's simply nothing like it. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. It's good to be back. I'm excited to make more content like this, not only based around video games, but other things as well. I've got more videos coming down soon. I'm working on them right now, so I hope you look forward to those. Thank you for watching. I love you. I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe. Bye-bye.